Hi, I'm Amy Jackson. I'm a leadership coach and I specialise in working with professionals who are in the mid-levels of complex, messy organisations, which is a lot of our organisations right now. Today's tactic is around how we can cope with the overwhelm in the moment. So at the moment, lots of us are feeling extremely overwhelmed, both with the emotion and the workload that is necessary to survive through this current period. Our best laid plans from a month ago feel like a fantasy land. They're out the window. Our to-do list, I literally sat down this morning and my to-do list had got totally out of control. And I sat down and the things that I had planned to do 2 weeks ago just seem ridiculous now. Why would I do that? The world is changing around us so fast. But it can also lead to a real sense of overwhelm for us. When we feel overwhelmed, we get that physical sensation of, I can't cope. Our stress levels go off and our capacity to work through that is massively reduced. David Rock describes it as the curtains closing on our stage. So how do we get through those moments of overwhelm in a time when we can't really afford to be overwhelmed? There's not much space at the moment for us to reset. We have to keep moving as quickly as the context around us is moving. So how do we do that? My number one strategy for you to try right now is to just get it out of your head. It seems silly, but that thinking space, the stage and the prefrontal cortex part of your brain where you're doing that, prioritizing what's important, what do I have to do, how do I keep track of everything? It's a really limited processing space. So if we're using that to try and keep everything on it, we can feel overwhelmed really quickly. So first up, take a moment, pause, sit down, and then get everything out of your head. Now, this might be a massive to-do list. It might be a compiling of to-do list. I took my to-do list this morning and I sectioned it up. So I did things to do that are revenue raising, things that are reaching out to help right now, things that are process admin have to get done, things that I thought I'd like to do, don't even know if they're relevant now, but just tried to categorize them out of all the various jottings I had everywhere to make some sense out of them. You can do this yourself, you can do it with your team. So it might be that you're all in remote locations now. How can we use this tool together? Get up a shared screen, somebody take the notes, let's write it all down. We might put it in a spreadsheet, we might do, MS Teams lets us do all sticky notes, so we might all actively do it at the same time on the screen. But let's collectively get out the overwhelm of all of the things that we're worried about and thinking about. Once it's out of our heads, we can start categorizing, we can start working through it and giving us all some space to think. We can't think clearly about it if it's all floating in our brains. It's just not space. So if you're feeling overwhelmed today, give yourself a moment to get it out of your head. If you're noticing that your team is feeling scattered and overwhelmed, do the same thing. Find a virtual platform, whichever one you're using, to create a shared space where we all dump our worries, concerns, things that we need to do and keep track of together in one space. It feels like we don't have time to in the moment, but our productivity is so much higher. We are much more effective if we take the moment to tackle that overwhelm, figure out what we're doing next, and then keep running. For some of us, we're going to need to do this twice a day at the moment, certainly once a day for a lot of us. So what do you need to do right now to cope with that overwhelm for you or your team? I hope this strategy has helped. Good luck today.